nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it.
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name is Devin. A brand new season. Spring's eternal. There's hope in the air. Unless you played Wolverhampton Wanderers yesterday when we're recording this. But, everything's nice and new. It's preseason. We're vaguely aware that the season starts on Saturday. We're recording this Thursday night. MLS might not quite be aware, but, we're on top of it. That's what we do here. Joining me today for our full preseason preview that we definitely have detailed analysis and a schedule for is Seth, who knows everything. Seth, how you doing?
Doing well. It is so the season kicks. We are recording this. It is 7:11 p.m. Central Time. Less than 2 days before the season starts. We do not have competition guidelines. We do not have a confirmed playoff format. MLS. MLS.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? That's how this league works. Also with us today, Brad Tillery. Brad, how you feeling?
Doing all right. It kind of somewhat forgot we had a season coming until a few days ago, I guess. Like we had the preseason match. I was sitting at home on a rainy Saturday. I was like, "Oh yeah, we have a match today. Let's watch this." And then I regretted my decision about an hour into that.
Yeah, the Coachella ones were something. Not least of all for the camera work. The FCTO games with the automated camera have better camera work. And also with us today is fellow Dorking Wanderer shareholder Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. They're still undefeated with me as a shareholder, which I feel as though should give me more shares or some kind of like special bonus benefit. And I have watched no preseason of Austin FC except for the match at Q2 that I only kind of paid attention to. So this will be fun.
Yeah, not much happened in that either. Some bad goals were given up. That's about it. But we're going to go through, we kind of touched on some new signings, but I think we're going to go a little more in depth here about how we expect the team to line up. We do have a little bit of data on the preseason on how we expect things to look. Happy birthday, Mikkel Dessler, today, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and open it, Scott, while we're here with you. What are we expecting our opening lineup, our opening kind of formation and style of play to look like when we line up on Saturday night?
So I think my big thought about Austin FC's roster this year is I think that the pieces fit together better than they have in years past. I feel like we have some combination of Jaden Nelson, Facundo Torres, and Uzuni kind of like leading the line. For midfield, I have no idea what we're going to do because Owen's out, and I guess, and oddly enough, Joseph Rosales, who's new, is listed as a midfielder, even though he's kind of always played defense. So I don't know how that's going to work in any way, shape, or form. I think there's a lot of emphasis going to be put on Danny of trying to like move the ball. And I think we've always seen that as like not always functioning very well. And at the same time, like Minnesota is a deeply unserious team.
We'll talk about serious and unserious teams a little bit more, but I think most of us are of the opinion we're going to have this kind of high-flying back three, back five, pinned-up wing backs, go kind of popular in Serie A lately style. Seth, any thoughts here?
I mean, I don't know what a winger or what a wingback or what a fullback is on this roster, and that's kind of going to be okay, I thought we signed Rosales to be able to sell Biru to get rid of some of our GAM situation. We end up with Rosales and Biru. We have John Gallagher who can play every position. Rosales is stronger on the left, but appeared in the last game as the right winger when I thought we signed him to be the left wingback. I don't know what we're going to see. And also, I also think one of the main caveats is going to be I don't think Dessler is going to be active for Saturday. I don't think Owen's going to be active for Saturday. It's going to take us probably a month to see whatever is Austin FC of 2026. And yeah, it's going to be a work in progress. And I think this first month of the season could be pretty ugly.
Yeah, and Owen, I don't think we expect to see for at least a few weeks. Dessler maybe a little sooner, but even if we get Vasquez back, he's not going to be 100% till after the World Cup, if he's 100% at all this season. So I didn't want to open and say, hey, what does your perfect everyone's healthy 11 look like? Because that's not going to help us for a few months until we're a bit down the road. But I agree. We're a little light in midfield. I do think it's interesting that Austin FC is going with this, unpredictability thing. Because if you don't know what you're doing, the other team can't know what you're doing. It's very, very, stealthy tactic. And, a lot of teams will take a winger and as they kind of slow down, they'll move him to fullback and push him back. James Milner is a great example of this, who's still playing in the Premier League, who made his debut in 2002. And we're doing the opposite. We're taking a fullback and pushing him forward. We're just, inverting the paradigm here. But that's a lot of talking. Brad, what's your big view on how we're going to come out this week?
I think the 11 that you saw last Saturday is your starting 11 this Saturday. Whether or not they play,
I don't remember who that is.
Yeah, whether or not you see them in the same positions or similar positions, looking at you, Rosales, is up for debate. We were asking about who's that chance creator in the middle. I actually think the way that we were using him last Saturday might be Facundo Torres. He played a little more centrally than I expected in that match, and kind of was all over the place, actually. Uzuni looked as passive as ever. Didn't he would get the ball and turn around and then run the other way, back towards the midfield if he was on the attack, whatever the case may be. And Torres seemingly brings some verticality to him that this team has not had, especially when Vasquez has not been in the lineup. So we are going to need Facundo Torres to be the guy that we signed him to be in this first half of the season until we get Vasquez back, until Owen's fully up to speed and Dessler's back and healthy. Like, we need him to step up and be that guy.
Yeah, and as much as I don't want to focus on preseason, it was goddamn hilarious that we had two people sent off in like 5 minutes. I've watched the replays and the clips, and I'm still not entirely sure what happened on those just because you couldn't see anything with the camera, but not a great omen. You lose to some bad teams out in California. It happens. Like, results aren't really what you're focusing on in preseason, but it didn't look good either.
That was my problem. I don't care if we won or lost, but the patterns of play were awful. Like, the first 10 or 15 minutes Saturday against KC weren't that bad. And then after that, it felt like the team just got very disjointed.
Yeah, and a lot of a few of these guys are new, but a lot of them are guys who played together last year, and you would expect to have some sort of rhythm or feel for one another. So we don't want to doomsay it, but if we come out of the gate slow, which is hardly a death sentence in MLS, but I wouldn't be shocked.
But also, we have a very kind start to the season. We play a Minnesota United team that has more GAM than players. Where they just got you saw they got another $50,000 in GAM today.
Oh my God, that might cover Josh Wolf's salary up there now.
I mean, if they're paying their coaches on GAM, they got bigger problems. But you never know. Hey, this is MLS here we're talking about. No, yeah, they got $50,000 for discovery rights for a player that Sporting KC signed. Which what wonderful words of the MLS language. We're playing DC United, who is still a complete disaster in the second game of the season. Charlotte will be tough in the third game, but then we go to RSL, who should be another unserious side in this league in game 4 before playing LAFC, who is a very, very serious team. So it's just like with those 4 matches, yes, we might be down some guys, but we need to get some points in those matches.
Yeah, and I mean, RSL, unserious as they are, it's still a tough away day, no matter when you go there. Altitude and just kind of the general vibe, and we can always get a Diego Luna masterclass and get in trouble. But there are points to be had, and as we learned a little bit last year too, you bank early, you can kind of backslide into the playoffs, and we've seen MLS teams do it year after year after year. So picking up some early points would be nice. We talked a little bit about the unserious teams in the beginning of the schedule. Scott, who is the least serious team, and we'll limit it to the West this year, and why?
The least serious team is Sporting Kansas City. They have Joveljic and nothing. They barely have enough guys to actually cover a senior roster, and that's only counting 4 goalkeepers. Like, they are a team and they traded away Saloy today too. So you just look at that roster and you just wonder how that team's going to even get like 10 points in this league, to be honest. Like, they are just a deeply unserious team.
So what I'm hearing is last year we had a a lot of unserious teams in the West, and it helped us get a halfway decent playoff spot. Obviously, bad matchup in the first round, but do we think there's enough unseriousness in the West that that can happen again?
Yes, I think there's I would say maybe 4 to 5 teams in the West that are good or serious and trying, and there's a group of 6 to 7 teams that can kind of finish anywhere in the standings depending on a few bounces of the ball, and I think Austin's in that group. I was kind of surprised that the MLS writer intelligentsia averaged out to us being sixth, but then Backheeled had us at like 9 or 10. And I think we're going to kind of be in that range again, just because I don't know that we did enough to improve ourselves into that like very serious group, but we have too much talent to be in the unserious group, barring injuries.
Brad, how serious are we?
I think we're in that middle pack where we were last year as a serious team. Like we want to be serious. We want to think we're serious, but did we make enough improvements on this roster to really be there? No.
Any team that is employing Mirto Uzuni as a paid $12 million and he is your second highest paid player on the roster. I guess he might be third highest paid, but is not a serious team.
No, and until Owen comes back, and we're assuming if Owen comes back, he's going to play midfield too. Like Ilie is probably a starter right now, and he shouldn't have been a starter last year, at least
Or
towards
does Dubasarski start over him?
Yeah, okay, I'd be at least willing to roll the dice on that.
Would you also like to hear some unseriousness?
Yes,
Because I was looking at the line on the game this week on one of our totally not.
It is legal here in Illinois.
There you go. It cites. Who has longer odds to score a goal this week for Austin FC? Micah Burton, Joseph Rosales, or John Gallagher, or Guilherme Biru?
Well, the answer should be Micah Burton, which means the answer is not Micah Burton.
Micah Burton is the shortest odds by a long shot out of that group. He is 5-1. Biru is like 11-1.
Can you reverse bet on not Micah Burton and just like pick your money up at kickoff?
How do I short that?
Can I short Micah Burton?
Keep in mind, Micah Burton has never made an appearance for the first team.
I'm aware. This is why it's hilarious.
He wasn't even playing much in preseason. They were much more interested in Alice Stewie and Irvin.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the story of Micah Burton, is that he comes in as this very hot prospect and is kind of not emerged and kind of keeps having guys jump him. Like Irvin Torres kind of jumped over him, and Alice Stewie is jumping over him. Like he's kind of in a weird spot in his career right now.
I mean, that's my way of saying Vegas very unserious this year.
No, but it's MLS gambling is AI induced. That's what this tells me. That they have fed this into Claude, and Claude and ChatGPT are like, he's on the roster. He's young. He has scoring stats. He scored for the U.S. Youth National Team. Of course he's going to score in the MLS game.
Yeah, might need to fire up my Kalshi account for this and see what sort of insane MLS bets they have available.
So getting back to the West serious and unserious teams, Kansas City's unserious. St. Louis is not serious. San Jose is not serious. They don't even have Timo Werner's paperwork sorted out yet.
To be fair, that is the U.S. government is unserious, less than the San Jose earthquakes being unserious.
Counterpoint: Timo Werner couldn't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat, so it doesn't matter.
No, but this is MLS, where Timo Werner could score 30 goals this season, and it would not surprise us.
Tim Howard said today that he couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. Quote.
Tim Howard, famous folksy New Jerseyan.
Exactly. And then you look at like Colorado's not serious. Portland doesn't have DaCosta healthy and a couple other guys out. Minnesota's not serious. Like after you get past like San Diego, Vancouver, LAFC, Seattle, like I think there's a big group of teams that are all just going to be kind of in the middle there. And I'm not a believer in Galaxy, even though they got linked with Coutinho today, which I thought was very strange. And very not unlikely to happen, but
he can't run.
I think Galaxy's the only team that could really like jump up for being like out of the playoffs.
If you guys are you guys watching the Galaxy game right now?
No, why would I be?
At the moment, yeah, they're playing Sporting San Miguelito from Panama. It's 0-0 about 19 minutes in, but they're dominating play.
Yeah, I forgot all that was already going on.
Yeah,
We're
MLS
very,
has
we're
been
very
doing
serious
really.
here.
I was gonna say in the serious side of this, like MLS has done really well in CONCACAF Champions so far. San Diego FC knocked out Pumas, including getting a 4-1 win at home in San Diego and a 1-0 loss at the CEU in Mexico City, which is a very respectable result. Even though like it was near the end there, Pumas had a ton of chances. And then the first legs have started up this week. Nashville played Atletico Ottawa in Hamilton, Ontario, which is not near Ottawa whatsoever, and did not play their starters until the end, but then brought on Christian Espinosa, Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge near the end of the match and picked up 2 away goals to win 2-0. LAFC did play all of their starters in against Real España and San Pedro Sula, Honduras, and were up 5-0 at the half, which is a choice. I mean, LAFC plays in Miami on the Walmart Saturday Night Soccer this week. I can't say that shit with a straight face, but there's as you go through that LAFC decided that they took out most of their starters early in the second half, but they won 6-1 in San Pedro Sula. Getting the win down in Honduras. And then yesterday, the Philadelphia Union won 5-0 against a team from Trinidad and Tobago called Defense Force, which was I don't think I think they used all their defense forces at Cueva 9 years ago and have run out of their defense forces after that. Maybe we've taken away their oil. I'm not quite sure of things. And then Cincinnati won in the Dominican Republic 4-0. And Vancouver Whitecaps had a 0-0 draw in Costa Rica last night against Cartagenes.
Hey Seth, what stadium did FC Cincinnati win at?
They won at the famous Estadio de Cibao, home of all CONCACAF matches on the Grand Island that hosts both Haiti and the Dominican Republic. There was far fewer horns and musical instruments there last night, but the tree is still
Ooh.
there and the tree is still growing.
Maybe they're over in Milan supporting the Jamaican bobsled team.
Different island, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Similar music.
Yes.
Different, but similar.
Mhm.
You know, they can come together, Seth. They don't have to be from the same island.
Well,
Friendship doesn't know borders.
I was about to say, like, there is like in cricket, they have the West Indies team, which is doing very well in the Cricket World Cup at the moment. But I don't think Haiti or the Dominican Republic are part of the West Indies for cricket. Not British colonized.
I was going to say that's mostly Anglosphere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've gone off on our first tangent of the season, um, I want to go ahead and run some numbers and we can kind of talk about the team a little bit more as we go through these. But uh, last season we finished on 47 points. Scott has helpfully reminded us that about 5 or 6 teams in the West are deeply unserious. So, give me a points total for the season. We can go ahead and start with Seth.
I'm gonna say 43 points. We
Okay,
got a lot of lucky
43.
breaks last year. I think we're gonna get fewer of them this year. I mean, look at who our starting lineup's gonna be Saturday.
Yeah. I'm going to be optimistic and say we get to 50, but I think that's more of a quality of a couple lucky bounces and teams being worse. But it won't shock me if we're closer to you. So, Brad, you want to go next?
I think I'm in the boat with Seth. I had us at the 42. So
Okay. Well, last year we were optimistic. This year we're a little more pessimistic for obvious reasons. Scott, where are we going?
I'm closer to Devin. I was thinking 48. I think we're going to be kind of similar to where we were last year, but I think that's not going to be enough points to keep us out of the play-in game.
Okay. Yeah. I guess since you mentioned it, do you have us 8 or 9 finishing? We were in 6th last year, just so everybody listening knows.
I'm hoping 8 because I kind of want to go to the ridiculousness that is a play-in game. That just kind of sounds like fun.
Yeah, since we've never had a meaningful decision day, that might actually be an interesting result. All right, we'll go back down. Brad, where are we finishing standings wise?
I've got us outside at 10th.
Oh, all right. Well, it makes sense with 42. Seth, how about you?
I have us at ninth going away in that dreaded play-in game. Again, assuming the format is the same. So since I looked this up a few minutes ago, it appears the competition guidelines are not linking from the MLS site, but if you just change the URL from 25 to 26, things are marginally different. So if we believe this, that we are still having the same playoff format as last year, which would mean that MLS Cup is going to be on like Christmas Eve or something, because that the season runs till November 7th. Then there's an international window. That means the earliest you could start the playoff season is like November 21st. So I was just assuming, hey, they're going to do like single knockout style and get this done maybe December 12th, December 19th. But it sounds like, I mean, I hope the best of three round is done all in one week and there's just like everyone plays like Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Sunday, or something like that. Because otherwise, this is going to be like the final could be after Christmas. Like they're gonna, knowing them, knowing MLS, they're gonna put the final on the same weekend as the first Saturday of the college football playoff, which actually probably wouldn't be a terrible idea because if those games were like this year, those games kind of sucked in the first round. So it might be okay, but that could be disastrous.
Wouldn't it be cool if we had the final on Boxing Day? People watch soccer on Boxing Day, right? That'd be great. Good job,
It's
MLS.
Saturday this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna put
Ah.
it the final on Boxing Day, where no, the Colorado Rapids are deeply unserious, so we can't have that option. But you know what? Maybe Greg Berhalter, Chicago Fire, who are serious this season, are hosting a final that is at a TBD stadium because the Bears are at home at Soldier Field, and SeatGeek has now become Chicago State's FCS football stadium, and the Fire don't have a contract there anymore. So it is unclear where the Fire would play playoff games or any games that get scheduled during Bear season.
How fast can they build a stadium in Hammond?
That's going to take a long time. Just the Superfund inspection site there is going to take years.
Yeah. See, Seth's breaking news live on this podcast that nobody will listen to until like 12 hours from now.
But wait, hey Seth, is a new Ryan Field going to be open?
So New Ryan Field, I think that is what I would prefer to have as the option. New Ryan Field is not going to be open for September. They're claiming it's going to be open for October 2nd, but that's like saying there's not going to be another snowstorm here in the next 2 months and other things like that. I hope it's open for the Penn State game. It looks really nice in theory, but I'll believe it when it's open. Like what would be hilarious is like they have to move the game. Like there are some pretty funny venues, like Northern Illinois football stadium out in DeKalb could do things there. You start going down to like if you had like a big playoff game, let's say like maybe you play it at heck, if you're playing Inter Miami and the Bears are at home, play it in South Bend.
I was going to say play it in Champaign. Like get all
Yeah,
the students on campus, give them $5, $10 tickets or whatever.
yeah,
and
I'd say South Bend is closer than Champaign, but I mean the Bears did play a season in Champaign.
Sure, but if you want to keep the money in state, I guess is where I'm headed at. So
I don't think.
I mean,
I
clearly
don't
that
think
is not
Joe
a big concern.
Mansueto cares about that at this point. He is Joe Mansueto. If you look at his political donation record, is not a fan of the mayor of the city of Chicago, and as even though he's a huge fan of the city of Chicago, I think would be okay on a one-time makes sense. The funniest option is playing the game at Lambeau.
Yeah, I would vote
Oh,
for that. All right, so we got to get the Fire into the final just to see what shit mess happens. I haven't gone yet. I'm going to stick with us in sixth just out of pure attrition, which is how we got there last year. That team was nowhere near good enough to be sixth in a conference, and yet we were. So I think we can repeat it this year.
yeah,
Maybe seventh if the Galaxy come back a bit.
I want to say part of my pessimism is also just this is the second time now Nico's been a head coach. In his second year at Dallas, there was a regression. And I think there's a very high probability of a regression happening again, too.
Boy, are you going to love our next question. I'll let you lead off. Brad, we played 34 league matches last year and we scored 37 fucking goals. That's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me that number is going to be higher.
By like 2, maybe?
You're going 39?
I mean, I thought we scored like 44 last year in the league for whatever reason or something like that.
Someone fact check me. I pulled this, so I might have gotten it wrong, but
Yeah, I thought we had 44 or 48, something like that last year. It wasn't a lot. I'll fact check it real fast. I don't think.
Oh, Devin's right. It's 37 goals for, 45 against. If we include Open Cup, it gets
Oh
into
my
the
God.
40s.
Okay, so yeah, okay. Wow, that's bad.
Yeah, I'm going to say league
You know
goals
what?
only.
I'll make the easier prediction. We're going to give up more than 50 goals this season.
I think that's a definite. We were weirdly strong in the beginning of last season, and that didn't keep up. But
Yeah, I would like to think that Uzuni won't have as many misses this year. I think a full Vasquez comes back healthier will help. Facundo Torres should be a better threat at scoring for us than Bucati was, even though Bucati was our chance creator for the most part. But it's still Nico Estevez coach team, which therefore kind of limits the ceiling on how many you're going to score. So if we scored 37 last year, Nico Estevez's all-time leading scoring team at Dallas was 48. It's the best they ever did. It was the year they came in third in the conference when we hosted them in 2022 when we hosted them in the playoff. So I'm going to kind of split that difference and say 43.
okay, you're going to go 43. I was going to say 42. So we're in the same ballpark. Scott, how about you?
I was going to say 45. I think I just think these offensive pieces fit better than they did last year. And I think one of the things that we kind of forget about Nico's Dallas teams regressing is that those teams got ravaged by injuries. Like when you look at like having DPs out constantly and Paul being out, like a lot of the problem got placed on him when those teams weren't talented enough to be good. And
Well,
I know that
the moment he got fired, they doubled their goal scoring output. That's a dead on fact. The rest of the season, the first half of that season versus the second half after he got fired, they doubled their goal scoring output.
I know you guys don't have visibility into the camera, but Scott is about to Philip the referee, however, Brad.
so I understand that is a thing that happened. The problem with that was looking at like I remember watching like those Dallas teams, and the biggest thing that happened to them was that they and this is a weird thing to talk about Austin in terms of the preseason and what happened is that those Dallas teams were really good at counter pressing. And they lost the ability to do that under Nico. And when they brought a coach who played differently, they did better. And I think that this team is together in a way that those teams weren't. And I think this attacking talent fits better to where you can get all of them on the field at the same time in a way that makes sense. Like I think that was the biggest drawback last year was that none of the pieces made sense in any way and they didn't fit. And like we're not going to have like John Gallagher starting at left wing anymore, who's just a nothing when it comes to the attack. Like I just think that we have more firepower than we did last year when we had very little. And I just think that there's just going to be a modicum of improvement going on.
All right, I'm at 42. Brad's at 43. Scott's at 45. Seth, how many goals are we scoring in the league?
44 to fill in the numbers here.
You would pick that. Pick a different number. I don't like that.
What, 41? Like it is like
You can pick
yes, obviously
44.
there's some groupthink bias here, but it is like at a certain point we're not trying to win prices right here. Like I think that's where we're gonna land. It's gonna be somewhere in the low to mid 40s.
Yeah. So it's going to be another slog of a depressing
No,
season.
like this is like as long as Nico Estevez is the coach of this team, unless we get unless we somehow beat out the fire to sign Robert Lewandowski up top, then maybe I would change that number. But like,
Hey, Roto was talking about Holland the other day, so I'm just saying, that's
I think my biggest hope is
the
that
Saudi Arabian players are gonna have such a great time in Austin during the World Cup that we're gonna sign the Saudi top striker, and have them leave the Saudi league.
I think my biggest worry is kind of what Brad pointed out about like how few games ended up with like 2 or fewer goals of just like not having a lot of instances of scoring. I'm worried that we're going to have more of that, and yet at the same time, I feel as though a lot of preseason conversation and talk has been about this team trying to do more going forward, but just like being bad at it. And hopefully, at some point, they just like get better with more guys getting out there. And I think the biggest concern is just how long Owen is actually out for, because I think without him, this team just doesn't have enough creativity to do a lot.
if I remember right, I'm not going to look it up immediately, but we played 7 1-0 matches last year, like 7 or 8.
It was like 5 in a row to start the season.
So it was a bunch to begin the season, but we played somewhere around 7 or 8 1-0 matches last year.
That's not great. We were the lowest goal scoring team in the West. There were a couple teams in the East below us, but
It took until the fifth match of the season for a team to score more than one goal, like total in a match. That was against San Diego, and then not counting the Vancouver game, it took until the 11th match for that to happen again.
yikes. So
I
not
mean,
fun
the
on
only
it.
I think the game in between that, the only time we did it outside of league play was the 3-2 comeback match against El Paso, right?
Yeah, when Brad and I were rooting for El Paso to win. Because it was 2-0. We were just like, fuck it, let's get this over with.
So fun plot twist on this that I don't think will come to play, but is in the realm of possibility. The USL does not have a collective bargaining agreement signed. Their season starts in 15 days. Is that season happening? And why does this matter to Austin FC? Well, I don't know. There are 17 USL championship teams in the US Open Cup. If they are locked out of USL, or the players go on strike, how does that impact the Open Cup?
I don't know if we have the time to cover that today.
I mean, I assume all those teams are just excluded, but
Well, the question
who
is
actually
like,
knows?
or does the CBA cover those games as well? Like if you're locked, like if the USL, I think the players are making a strategic this is very funny for someone who is very much on in past lives has been on the management side of collective bargaining negotiations, not on the worker side of this. But the workers made a strategic mistake by the workers, I mean the USL players made a strategic mistake by reporting to training camp without a signed collective bargaining agreement. And they have given away their leverage and effectively is saying that they're going to go play, which is why would you go play without a collective bargaining agreement? They're bargaining just to have health insurance.
See,
This,
USL players, call Seth. He's auditioning to be the vanguard of the proletariat for you.
I mean, it is. I mean, like these guys are getting screwed. Like they want a minimum salary like of 40,000 a year.
Yeah, wasn't it like 16 before or something?
It was like 26,000, but they could deduct even the 42 would still allow them to deduct housing and food costs from that. And to make sure that they were guaranteed to be paid it every month of the year. Like this is the stuff that people actually should unionize over.
Yeah, a lot of these USL teams are not in like cheap markets.
No.
It's not like it's cheap to live in Vegas or Oakland or wherever the hell
Or
wherever the hell.
Phoenix, or yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of expensive places you have to find housing if you're playing in that league.
Oh, Galaxy just went down. The Panamanian team just got a wide open header in the box there.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
Panama.
Yeah,
LA Galaxy, not a serious team.
not a serious team. There we go. All right, we got one more kind of stats numbery thing I want to do. Last year we were -8 on goal differential. We talked about we don't score a lot of goals. We didn't give up a ton of goals. Like we kind of mentioned that leaked a little bit towards the end of last year, but let's go over or under -8 goal differential. I'm going to go, it's going to be worse this year. We're going to give it more goals. We're going to score more, but we're going to be somewhere in the like -10, -12 range. Scott?
I'm sorry, we were -8 last year.
Correct.
I think it's gonna be closer to even.
Okay. Yeah, initially it was
I
going to
don't
be.
think I want to call the shot and say it's even, but I don't think we're going to score enough goals for that.
Yeah, it was
I think it's
initially
gonna be more like
over under
-3,
even,
-4.
but
I don't think we're that far off where we were last year. I think it's -9. I just think some of those 1-0 results that we got in our favor last year don't flip in our favor this year. And that's where my point differential comes from for the season.
Yeah, I'm going 44 52. I'm going to say the exact same.
Okay.
Also in unserious things, the guy who scored for the Panamanian team, his CONCACAF Champions Cup patch came off his jersey while he was celebrating the goal.
Excellent.
Love it.
This
So it was made by Fanatics.
Yeah, of course.
No, it wouldn't have shown
official
up by now
partner
if it
of
was
CONCACAF.
Fanatics.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I mean, I'm very disappointed. I mean, I obviously have this game on mute because we're recording this podcast, but it's John what you call it, John Shaw and Stu Holden are actually calling this one. But I don't know if you guys listened yesterday to the Trinidadian announcer they had calling the Defense Force game against the Philadelphia Union, who managed to describe Trinidadian Carnival as absolute fornication in a complete straight voice and just like went on about it, just like he was talking about anything else. And I'm like, okay.
I like it. Spirit of Roger Miller lives with us. Yeah. I do want to find some like super hard. So I had tickets to the Saudi Arabia Cabo Verde game in the World Cup, and I want to find like not an authentic, but like an actual like shitty knockoff of the Cabo Verde sort of like Costa Rica's Pura Vida. Cabo Verde's like kind of national motto is no stress, and so they did like a one-off no stress kit, and I want to find like one of the like Timu knockoff versions that they produced, so I can have that for the game. But last bit of business before we can kind of banter and wander a bit more. Last year, he did kind of like a breakout player or surprise player. Not necessarily like the best player on the team or something like that. Scott won. He picked Owen, and we were, a bunch of us were picking other folks, or I think a couple of us took Danny. I don't remember because I don't listen to episodes back because I don't care. But we're gonna do the same thing here, and I'm gonna let Scott as reigning champion lead off. And like you can pick Owen again, but he's got to score like 20 goals, net 10 assists or something. It can't just be the same season he had last year. So, who's going to be our kind of surprise or breakout player this season?
I'm gonna go with Jaden Nelson. Um, if you look at his season last year, he only ended up with something like 1,300 minutes. And he came to Austin specifically to get field time because he wants to go to the World Cup. And I feel like he's going to be able to do 80 or 90% of what Bukhari did without the DP price tag. And I think in terms of actually like turning that into goals and assists, may do better than Bukhari. Besides that, I don't really see a lot of guys on the roster who I think can make a jump of any kind.
I'm going to go with Mateo Djordjevic. I think that he will be a starting center back by the end of this season, and that like we've gotten to a point where Heinzik's performance fell off a little bit. Svatak's performance has been hit and miss. I think there's a huge opportunity for him to be a starting center back for the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Brad, you want to go? I can go next if you want to think. All right. Seth kind of alluded to mine. I think we're going to have a solid game-to-game starter in Duber by the end of the year. He's not going to rack up 10 goals or anything. He's going to sit in the pivot and we're going to let Owen and Danny run, or if Owen leaves, which, we'll come to that if that happens. But he's going to let our other kind of springier mids push forward, and we're going to have him sit in front and play that kind of shielding role, which, we can talk a little bit about tactically whether the game's kind of evolved around that. But I think that's how we're going to play. And I think he's going to be, not first name on the team sheet, but pretty close to that by the end of the season. Brad?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little off the board because if you listen to the press conference with Nick or with Roto the other day, the idea of Jorge Alistue being on the first team roster is not off the table. If MLS rules that Canadian players can be counted as domestic players, Alistue is going to be on this roster, it sounds like. And there is a void in that creative midfield position that I think he could fill in spots and really grow this season and kind of shock a lot of people. I'm going to go there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I think he's gonna have some trouble with the physicality and speed of the league. But he's probably the teniest thing we have sitting around as a good option right now. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a really good leadership kind of guy for FCito last year too. Yeah, and more Spaniards. I always like more Spaniards. Gives us more technical control. All right, so we did kind of a general Austin FC discussion. I want to say we have like more preview to do, but I have no idea what the hell this team is going to be or do. So I kind of don't want to like deep dive into a bunch of hypotheticals and then them come out and like, a 4-4 fucking 2 on Saturday and all of us just look like idiots. So
Real football heritage right there.
football heritage. R.I.P. Sean Dyche. Um, But
Hey, future Austin FC coach, he's available.
I would love to have Sean Dyche as a coach.
Yeah,
He's a curry expert. He could tell us all the best curry spots in Austin.
I
Uh,
actually feel like this Austin FC team, more than anything, is going to be a team that changes constantly.
Yep.
I think Nico's going to tinker every match. During the match, we're going to see a lot of different formations and setups because ultimately, like, this roster has a lot of flexibility just in how you can play. And I think I think overall, like, that seems to be the goal of the roster, is giving Nico a chance to tinker and match up. And I like that as an idea. The problem is that when you do that, you lose your own identity as a team. And I think it hurts players in terms of not knowing what they're always supposed to be doing and not having a consistency that is really required. Unless you have a bunch of guys who are just like really smart and don't care.
yeah. I mean, that is kind of when we were succeeding towards the back half of last year, is when we were shaking things up and being a little unexpected, but who knows? I'm with you. I think we're going to kind of horses for courses a lot of games, and we'll see some different setups and things like that. And maybe it'll be fun. Maybe we'll score some goals. Who knows? It's preseason. It's optimism time. Yay.
Yeah, I take a lot of beef from people for not being as optimistic as I think folks want to be, but hey, man, I try to be realistic.
I used it all up last year. I was like way over the top. I think I said we were going to score like 60 goals last year, and yeah.
Yeah, I fundamentally like some of the moves we made in the offseason. I do think from a depth perspective, we're a better team. Um, I very much worry about the early portion of the season without Owen, without Dessler, Vasquez not being fully healthy. Um, I think it's realistic that we might be a lot better at the end of the year, especially if we do a midseason move and can get Uzuni off the books and replace him. This could be a decent team by the end of the year, but until I see it on the field and until a Nico Estevez coach team starts banging in goals, I need to see it.
In some ways, I feel like the dream scenario for Austin is that they get off to a really strong start and Ozuni bangs in a bunch of goals and we sell him for a bunch of money midseason
That'd be
and bring
nice.
in somebody who brings some more creativity.
The dream is that Albania makes the World Cup and he scores 1 or 2 goals in the World Cup.
Hmm.
I feel like they have a
very
tough draw, though.
pathway, but
Yeah.
they just have to win 2 games to make the World Cup.
Who's in their pod?
Albania is.
Are they in the one with Italy?
I think they're in the one.
They're in the other one.
They're in the one. Well, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
So if we look at the UEFA playoff, 1 second.
I want to say they're in the same one as Sweden. Or I'm
That's
sorry,
right.
in the same one.
They're in the same. They're playing Poland, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's Sweden, Poland, Albania, and I don't remember who the other team is.
Yeah, I'm playing them.
Ireland?
No, Ireland's in a different one. So Albania is in the, let's just UEFA.com. Don't crash on me right now. Okay, they play Poland, and then it's winner of Ukraine and Sweden.
Okay, that's winnable.
Oh, it's Ukrainian.
Sweden's fucking terrible.
Sweden
They're
is like
Grant
Sweden
Potter.
has so much talent and has no clue how to use it.
Yeah.
It's like Norway was for decades. And then they figured out how to use their talent. And then they might actually, I don't know, make the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of, so we're in a couple other competitions other than the league this year. We'll keep it simple. Which are we going to go furthest in, and how far are we going to go? Seth, you want to lead us off?
We are going to go furthest in the US Open Cup, and we will make it to the quarterfinals and lose.
Okay, I'm going to echo that too. That's exactly where I was at. Scott?
I think we'll go further in Open Cup than Leagues Cup. I don't think we're going to get that far in either of them. I kind of expect us, even in Open Cup, to probably like win one and get knocked out. I don't think in Leagues Cup we make it to knockouts.
Okay, so can any of the 3 of you, without looking at your computer, name the Leagues Cup format?
No.
Oh wait,
I know there's games in Mexico this year.
Maybe I'll believe it when I see a schedule.
It's a table, and you only play teams not in your league.
It is a table, yes, that is correct. You play 3 games against teams that are in the other league, and only the top 4 from your league advance to a single round knockout stage matches.
Oh, we're totally fucked. There's no.
How many teams are in
Yeah,
this?
that's why
I
we're
was
not
close on
advancing
that.
out of this.
So,
I was
so
close on that.
only 8 of 36 are going to advance.
Yeah, that's how it worked last year. Clearly, you
Okay.
guys have watched lots of League Cup last year.
I haven't watched League Cup in 3 years. I don't.
Yeah, since they
The
tried to kill
last
the
League
Open
Cup
Cup.
match I watched was when we lost to LAFC in the knockout round.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes League Cup out of play. The
I
problem
mean,
is,
the playoffs is another tournament.
yeah, I don't have us in the playoffs, so it defaults to Open Cup for me. The problem is, I don't think we're going to make a deep run at Open Cup, and partially because of the early season lack of some roster, and then also just historically teams don't really make back-to-back deep Open Cup runs. Like there's usually a year or two in between the deeper runs. So I guess I'll say Open Cup because we do get a USL team first round. But are we on the road?
We are on the road first round. We
Yeah.
can't go to El Paso if they are there because the Chihuahuas are at home, unless we're going to end up in like a high school stadium or no.
Let's play at the Sun Bowl, baby.
That's exactly. If we play at the Sun Bowl, I am on a plane to
I
El
will be
Paso.
on a plane to El Paso,
100%.
to the Sun Bowl.
That'd be so much fun.
Yes, the Tony the Tiger Frosted Flakes Sun Bowl with like 2,000 people in the 55,000 seat stadium. I feel like we would need to kick that game off at like 5 o'clock to get a sunset over the mountains there. Like, it'd be gorgeous.
It'd be perfect. Brad, how far are we going in the Open Cup?
I think we're losing the second game we play.
Okay.
So that'd be what, technically fourth round?
That'd be round of 16. We enter at the round of 32.
Yeah. So the round before the quarterfinals.
Yeah. And it's really just because, like I said, it's really hard for teams to make back-to-back deep runs in that tournament.
Yeah, and I think this year, like for a variety of reasons, it's hard to predict, but like the fucking World Cup in the middle of it, you're basically gonna have like an entirely separate team more or less come August or September. And then you get into like even later with the playoffs. So this is just as much of a crapshoot of a season as you could possibly get. So I'm gonna ask you guys to predict. Who will be the top 2 teams in the East? And we'll come back and do the West in a second. But Brad, you want to go first? So you can either go like who's going to be in the conference final or who's going to be top 2 in the standings. You can answer either one. You're on mute.
Sorry. I want to say top 2 in the standings because I think once you get to conference finals or playoffs, it can be a little bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
On what happens there, especially in a single elimination format. I think Miami's the obvious for number 1. They still have Messi. They still have a pretty loaded roster by MLS standards, and I would be stunned if they weren't in the top 2. I'm going to go a little bit of a flyer here, but I think Chicago's improved. And I think Chicago's going to end up second in the conference.
All right. Sounds good to me. Scott, you want to go next?
I agree on Miami. I think they've actually put together a better roster around Messi this season than they did last season, and they're a little more like Messi taking time off proof than they were before. And I think the second best team in the East is Nashville because I just really believe that Surridge, Christian Espinoza, and Hani Mukhtar is just a attacking trio that is going to put up a ton of goals this year. And if they have any kind of defense at all, which they usually do, they'll be really good.
Yeah, I had the same answer as Scott. I don't love Nashville, but they do seem to be putting some pieces together, and I think they're going to be strong this year. Seth?
Yeah, Nashville was my pick for number 2 as well. I'm very boring here. I think that there's everyone else in the East. Like the East has Miami is an elite team, and what they've been able to do is really incredible. And if they are able to stay healthy, oh my, like they could set an MLS points record. You just have a lot of good but not amazing teams in the East. I mean, you look at it. I mean, we talked about Nashville and Chicago. The Crew will somehow get it together. Philly will make it work one way or another. Like they're not going to be like it wouldn't shock me to see Philly in an Eastern Conference final. So if we want to go with a team besides them, I would say Philly, just because yes, like on paper they're not as strong as they were last year, but they're always there. They're not going to win anything, but they're always there.
Yeah, they always find a way to be competitive but not win anything. No matter who's there, Who's in charge?
And I think Charlotte and Cincinnati are in that next tier. Cincinnati, they just didn't. I mean, yeah, they won 4-0, and which is way more than we can say what Austin FC did in that stadium a couple years ago. So I can't really knock them, but like Tom Barlow is not someone who should be starting on an MLS team.
Yeah, I think you can put both of them in that tier where like, they're not going to compete for anything, but they're better than we are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they're in the tier of teams that if the ball bounces the right way or like injuries happen to some of the other teams, like they could get to a final. But I just don't think they have as much as Nashville does. And that also assumes that like Evander stays because the Evander rumors are just always there.
Yeah, and if Kevin Denke stays, I mean, Napoli apparently offered like 25 million for Kevin Denke, and they said no. I don't know how much I believe that, but that is theoretically
Anybody who said no to that should be fired.
yes.
Well, it could have
Unless if they
been.
have a deal in the summer that is at a different number. But it is as they go through this, like the only guarantee in this league is someone who we think is unserious today will become very serious by September, October, whether it's through new player signings or a new coach or something else. Like if you tell us that St. Louis is going to end up on 58 points, I'd be like, I don't see that, but like it's MLS, so like sure, it might happen.
Yeah, actually, this is a good category I didn't think of. So let's go ahead and do our unserious team that will actually become serious.
So I just threw out St. Louis. They have a new coach. They've gotten rid of a bunch of their dead weight. They're doing the play the kids thing. I'm gonna say that they're gonna be an unserious team that becomes serious.
All right, can I take Atlanta United just because it feels like a year where like maybe they'll put it together somehow. Somebody will randomly show up and bang in 30 goals out of nowhere and then
I mean,
disappear.
Tata Martino's
Yeah,
back.
Tata's back too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take them. Brad.
Atlanta's the obvious one to me, actually, too. That's where I would have gone in a heartbeat.
All right. Scott, do you have an unserious team that will become serious?
I'm kind of thinking about two different ones. I kind of think I kind of want to say Houston because
Ugh.
the reason why nobody thinks they're serious is because they brought in attacking talent that doesn't seem like it might work. But at the same time, like if Bogus is the player he was at LAFC and like one of the other DPs provides some scoring, like with that and Jack McGlynn, like they could be something. I just don't know that I see like a lot of talent in like any of the other lower teams. Like I don't know, like I don't believe in Red Bull at all. I don't believe in Toronto. Like I don't know. I'm not sure who else I think even has like a chance of being serious.
I think New England potentially could be a little better this year, but
Who knows? All
I
right.
think Atlanta's a good shot though.
Okay. I guess let's predict the West. Scott, while you're on here, who will be the top two teams in the West?
I'm going to be boring and I'm going to say LAFC and Vancouver. I assuming Belonga stays, and it seems like he's not necessarily happy at LAFC, but they'll just use that spot to sign another DP. But I think I think them in Miami would be a really great final. I would actually really like to watch that game. I hope it happens. I hope it happens. I think they're clearly the two best teams, and then I hope Vancouver just kind of like lost a lot because they were kind of a just like collection of players who all just like played really well together, and they lost some pieces off of that team. And I'm not sure they're going to be as good as they were last year, but I still like them more than like San Diego.
Oh, I
Yeah.
disagree with you there. I think San Diego is doing the play the kids thing, and then they are going to get to replace Chucky Lozano's spot as well. So I expect that they'll have a big summer signing because they can afford to do that. And hitting on Andre Stryer as a second DP has been massive for them. So like I think San Diego could even win the West again, which is kind of nuts to think about. But they do have the one thing that does go against them is that they do have CONCACAF champions as well. So like, but remember, like, because you have for I haven't looked at it for every team, but for Austin, we have 15 games before the World Cup and 19 games after the World Cup. So a lot of those CONCACAF Champions teams that were normally being hit with 17 to 20 matches during that tournament, if you make a deep run, it's suddenly only 15 now. That's not as bad.
Yeah, that's handy. Anybody believe in Seattle? I don't have them in a top two. I'm just throwing out a name.
I think that they're still a top four team. Like
yeah, I don't have them top two, but they'll be a home playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think consensus here is LAFC and San Diego, honestly. You could probably know Vancouver's out there as well, but for me, it's what I've seen already out of San Diego and CONCACAF champions. I mean, going to beating Pumas over two legs is it's impressive. And the way they won that first leg, what they scored all three or four goals, I think, real in quick succession.
Yeah, 4 goals in the second half in like
Yeah.
15 minutes. It was
They didn't. They might have gotten addition by subtraction with Chucky Lozano leaving that team.
yeah.
I don't see how they got worse. And then LAFC is LAFC, and you get a full year of Son now. So to me, those are the two best teams head and shoulders in this conference.
Yeah, my
And
gut says
LAFC.
like
We also forgot LAFC got Steven, the Canadian guy who was at Porto in the midfield. Like having someone like him on our team who's just an amazing chance creator with Son and Bwanga, it's almost unfair.
yeah, and I mean like all these teams like yeah, Vancouver got broken up a little bit. They have the whole issue with the stadium. Like I think San Diego has to regress at some level. Just out of pure, randomness or anything. LAFC is new coach. Yeah, okay, they had Son at the end of last year, so that's probably a little easier to bet in. But yeah, Seattle.
I think it helps LAFC that they got a new coach because I think Cherundolo had kind of like become a distraction as of last year with like leaving and what was going to go on. And like, I think that, and I also think that like tactically it'll let them be a little different because I feel like he always just like was stuck in kind of like playing the same way. My other worry about Vancouver is that with the ownership and the stadium situation, they become a bad vibes club. And once you have like bad vibes in the season, like you can see that effect on the field. That's kind of my biggest worry with them because they had such great vibes last year, and this year they might just like regress to the mean on vibes.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of all in the same cluster. It's going to be roughly the same teams as last year. All right. Well, that's what I have for our preview. What else do we need to talk about?
What is going to be the craziest moment that happens in this MLS season?
Someone will trade a stats database for GAM.
What
RIP FBRF.
yeah, what type of animal will enter the pitch unexpectedly at a match this season, and where will
Well, we
it
just did a wolf at the Olympics. I know it was a dog, but it looked like a wolf.
Can I vote for alligator in the new Miami stadium?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be good.
No, it should be the iguana. It's Miami, honestly. And I need the match to be like under 50 degrees so they start falling.
Did you see they had to call the health department on a place that was selling iguana pizza?
Iguana's delicious, man.
I believe you.
Iguana is delicious.
What does it taste like, Brad?
I mean, it's the old school taste like chicken, but it's kind of got a gamier texture to it.
Is it closer to like gator?
Huh?
Does it taste kind of like gator?
Yeah, gator is like to me a chickeny taste with a fishy texture, right? That's the easiest way I explain gator tail to people. It's got more of a thicker texture than the iguana meat does. Like it have you ever had gator wings, which are like the feet, the red meat out of the feet?
I think so, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, so it's like white meat, but more of that kind of texture.
This is what you guys pay us for.
Yes. Delicious stuff.
Yeah. A lot of redneck meals had between the group, I'm sure. All right, that's good. I'm trying to think, like, I'm sure LAFC is gonna let the fucking Falcon loose again.
Yeah. We've got that. Does now that we are enforcing, we didn't talk about the rule change of that if a goalie holds the ball for more than 8 seconds, that you get a corner kick. I feel like that could lead to some fun animal things as well, too.
I'm sorry, is this going to be like the player being down for 10 seconds has to sit out for 2 minutes rule that nobody abided by?
No, so it's been
like
reduced to
Premier
1
League
minute.
did, where
It's been reduced to 1 minute this season.
Yeah,
How can you reduce something that doesn't get enforced?
We're gonna enforce it for 2 weeks and then fucking forget about it. It happens every year.
It just got enforced against Zuni in that one game, and I'm still pissed about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll get enforced like the first few weeks and then like once against us in October. Happens all the time.
The 8-second rule is going to get hit like twice all year long, and it's going to be whenever it happens, somebody's going to score in a corner, and it's going to be royally pissing people off.
Well, see, we have a massive advantage because CJ already counts how long they have the ball when he goes in. So we know.
Some teams should start putting it on the scoreboard instantly with a countdown clock and a giant buzzer that goes off.
So I thought that the ref had to do a count on the field while he was doing it.
He's
Is that not a...
supposed to.
Yeah, okay. Because I always think of it like
should
basketball. Well, because like basketball officials, like they do the like hand count so everybody can see like what's going on. I feel like the ref needs to do the same here.
Supporter section should do that kind of like a basketball shot clock. Just count you down.
Yeah. I'm once again throwing out Wigan had a great chant the other day that it's only 1-0. How shit must you be? We're 15 in and it's only 1-0. So I'm once again throwing out. I had a different version last year, but it's effectively the same chant that we adopt that. Excellent penalty shootout between a dinosaur and a pie, by the way, if you guys haven't seen the video.
I need Alistair McAllister to interview the anamorphic pie.
I think we're on it. Seth, didn't you tag him?
He is aware of it, and like let's face it, it's easier for him to get media rights than it is probably MLS reporters at this point for anything, or at least for our podcast. I mean, so I don't know if you guys heard the story. So when he went over he's like, I'm in London, I want to go to a QPR match. He just like messaged their media team, like, I'm Alistair McAllister, and they just like instantly were like, of course, here's a press pass.
Yeah, and then the only thing he did for the match was pies.
Yeah. I was going to say Wigan is about to get relegated out of League One into League Two. If he shows up, they'll just let him do whatever he wants.
I was about to say, I mean, Wigan is like a rare town in England that is more of a rugby town than a football town, and like they share the ground like them and Bristol City do, and they just get to are the two teams I know of that I can think of that are very prominent that do, and like their rugby crowds are larger than their football crowds. They weren't in the Premier League that long ago. What, 10 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. They had a Maynard Figueroa score from half field on. I don't remember who. I wanted to say it was Tim Howard, but that's wrong.
I mean, if they happen to stay up, it's very possible that 3 teams that were in the Premier League as little as within the last decade will be in League One next season.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Luton's already there.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the championship, Leicester City is very much in danger of dropping.
Well, I mean, Cardiff's already in League One. They're going to get promoted, but Wigan's claim to fame their last year in the Premier League, they got relegated and won the FA Cup. So some good old football heritage. And then I think Portsmouth did the same thing. Portsmouth's probably not far from League One either, if they're not already down there.
Yeah, I mean, the teams in the championship are just thankful that Sheffield Wednesday is having one of the worst seasons of all time. Like the chance that they might not get to positive points is incredible.
Good. Or Wednesday. Or fighting owls.
I do feel like that's like the most sickos thing to keep track of is like, are they going to get positive points this year?
I mean, I'm sure it's happened before of teams getting negative. I just have to look at like.
Probably not going to happen now, but for a while, the entire town of Sheffield was going to get relegated.
Isn't there something where like half the Chinese league is starting this season with negative points?
Yeah. Then I think during Calciopoli, maybe Juventus started a season with like negative 80 points or something like that. Because they only wanted to relegate them once, but they like gave them such a deduction that it was literally impossible for them to not get relegated again or something. I don't remember the details, but it was something like that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in 2037, we'll get a ruling on the Man City 115 churches.
Yeah, they'll get a light fine and a stern letter, and Everton will be docked 50 points.
Fortunately, nobody is threatening to not cut their hair until the decision on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, the bottom of the championship, like Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, but then it's, Leicester, West Brom, Blackburn, Portsmouth, Norwich is down at 17th. Like, those are usually those are clubs that like I think of as being Premier League clubs, and they're all the way down here below Wrexham.
Yeah, I mean, half of those are year in, year out yo-yo clubs. West Brom, Norwich. Blackburn fairly recently a decent Premier League team. Portsmouth had a bunch of financial issues, which is why they're down there.
Leicester's won 2 trophies in the last decade.
Yeah,
by cheating. Financial issues.
Their owner died of a plane crash, which we should obviously not laugh about, but has led to a bunch of these issues.
Yes. I mean, Blackburn has a Premier League title. One of the few clubs who does.
Yep. A real one too.
Yeah, and they got bought by an Indian chicken farmer, and then everything went to shit.
I'm just gonna say QPR, 12 wins, 12 losses, 8 draws, perfectly balanced.
As everything should be.
Great.
Thanos meme.
A rock of stability and the most unstable thing in the world.
Okay,
Yes.
since we've transferred to England, Devin, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you?
Oh, I've been terrified the entire season.
Okay.
Don't worry. No, when we were talking about this before and people were like, no, you got it. It was like, no. The only thing that can stop Arsenal from winning the Premier League is Arsenal. And that's the most terrifying thing on the fucking planet. And you guys all just saw why. So that's been in the back of our heads since like September. That this is exact thing was going to happen. My only saving grace is that, I don't think Villa has the legs to keep up. If City manages to shoot themselves in the foot, we might limp to like a 75-point title or something like that, but it's not looking great. The doom scenario is, of course, that Man City wins the quadruple and we finish second in everything.
I think 75 is a pretty realistic total to win this, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. The bank account's going strong after Man City's past couple of results, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm gonna find it very funny when West Ham gets relegated, but that's
Yes.
just
West
or
Ham-
Tottenham. It's still
But if
possible.
Tottenham gets relegated, it is that would be an incredible story to watch.
Oh, hey, Devin, you can choose only one: Arsenal winning the Premier League or Tottenham getting relegated.
Arsenal winning the Premier League, it's not even close. Tottenham fans would give you the opposite answer. I'm also in this weird thing where if Arsenal wins the Champions League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup, but don't win the Premier League, I still think it's a fucked up season. And I consider it a bottle job. So that's where I'm at. Like, I would rather win the league and nothing else than like those three things and not the league. Yes, I know I'm insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, I can understand it for like the FA Carabao double. I get that, but if you guys win the fucking Champions League, this is a successful season.
Yes,
Here.
Arsenal's never won the Champions League.
Yes, the Invincibles did not win the Champions League.
Fucking Wayne Bridge. Yeah, so we'll see. I think I used up all of my good sports energy on dorking on Tuesday, getting us to a 5-point cushion in the National League South. And then, Arsenal it up, and you could see that the entire game. The US tried to lose in hockey. The US tried to lose again in hockey. Ended up with a gold medal today. So
The U.S. women's curling team lost from a 99% win position yesterday. Nearly lost from a 99% win position today. We're just doing it all around.
yeah,
I need a clarification on Dorking real quick. So they're leading the National League South. If they win the league, they go to proper National League, correct?
correct. So how this works is you have two divisions that go and feed into the National League. So the winner of the National League North and the winner of the National League South both go directly into the National League. Then each of those has their own playoff, and then the North winner and the South winner of the playoff both go up too. So 4 teams go up and 4 teams go down.
And the 14th team goes to the American League just because.
Then they have to hire a DH. Those are the rules. Yeah, but I will hopefully be in Dorking to see the match against Bath in about 2 months. So I'm gonna try to do some on the ground content there, and we'll see exactly how pissed drunk I can get with Mark.
Yeah, and hoping for no waterlogged pitches.
Yeah, that's been a major problem. I think they're up to 3 days of sunshine this year in the UK.
I saw like a half a day of sunshine when I was over there last month.
Yeah. All right. I guess our final prediction is the US winning gold in hockey, men's, since the women won it today.
No.
I don't think they have it. I think they're gonna lose to Slovakia.
No, I think
And
I think we get silver. We beat Slovakia in overtime and then lose to Canada in an incredibly charged match.
but Jordan Bennington is so bad. Canada is so much better than every other team that they're gonna have like a negative goalie in and still fucking win the gold medal. It's infuriating.
I have not liked the vibes of the U.S. men's team this whole
Same.
tournament. So
And I still think they have enough to beat Slovakia. I just don't think that I don't think anybody's beating Canada this cycle.
Yeah, Slovakia's
I
got
think
some
the
good
Canadian
vibes
team's just
going.
too good.
Yeah,
The Canadian team just is too loaded.
yeah. I was trying to explain this to some non-hockey watchers. I was like, this is like murderers row other than the goalies. Like this is the NHL All-Star team. And Quinn
Is it
Hughes is Victorian goat.
is it stranger that the U.S. men's soccer team doesn't have a clear goalie, or the Canadian men's hockey team doesn't have a clear number one goalie?
Um, I think the US is such a fucking train wreck that that's not hugely unpredictable that they just blew up the one thing they were actually good at. Canada not having a good goalie is really weird because even if it's like one or they had one and he was hurt, like you look at the depth chart, like Jordan Bennington's been arguably the worst goal, like starting goalie in the NHL this year, and he's not necessarily the wrong pick to be starting those games.
Yeah, I feel like U.S. soccer not having a good keeper is sacrilegious.
We don't
I
even
mean,
have
number one
a
goal.
keeper, let
Your
alone a
number one job
goalie.
is to stop shots. And how many sports do we have in this country where you use your hands? Like it just feels. And most kids, even if you play primarily soccer, most kids still come up playing other sports. Just it's one of those things where I feel like we should always excel at, and if we don't, then that's a problem.
We don't have time to talk about all the problems with US soccer. I'm just gonna say that.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're all going to be on display during this like absolute dumpster fire of a World Cup that we have coming up too.
Yeah. I will watch the USA games, but I can't tell you how often people are like, "Oh, you're gonna go to any of the USA games?" And I was like, absolutely no interest. No fucking way. Not a shot.
Do I want to watch great games with countries that actually care about this? Yes. Will I watch the U.S. games? Yeah, I'll watch the U.S. games, but I'm not spending $1 on them.
No. I mean, I watch them because I usually watch nearly every World Cup game anyways. Obviously, it's a little different with the expanded field this time, but
How do you feel about that you're going to have games that kick off at 11 p.m. Central Time?
yeah, it's fine. It's I think it's weird that they didn't rebalance the kickoff times to like time zone.
They did a little bit. So like I'm going to the Tunisia Japan match in Monterrey, and like that is being kicked off at 10 p.m. local time because it's I don't know, hotter in Monterrey than it is in most of Texas in the summertime. And they have Tunisia where it's going to be 7 in the morning, and then Japan where I think it'll be like 1 in the afternoon. So that's actually not terrible. Like the countries that are playing, and there's like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea got a lot of the late night games, which makes sense. And then Scotland gets to play their opener at 2 a.m. local time.
Yeah, I just thought they were kicking off like some of the like early kickoffs are in the Pacific time zone and stuff like that, where it's not like, hey, just start on the East Coast and move west.
Yeah, no, like they're doing, yeah, like there's like the US Australia game is a noon kickoff in Seattle.
Yeah,
Which makes sense. It is, I don't know. You can play outside at noon in Seattle. You want to play at noon in Kansas City in June?
I do not. There are a lot of people who are in for a very rude awakening about how fucking hot most of the US is. And
I
I still can't
am
believe
very
half the
much
teams.
looking forward to the first thunderstorm delay in Miami. Well, the question is, if you have final group stage games and like let's say like actually both teams are over with 32 teams, it's less of an issue. But like you have the simultaneous kickoffs at the end of the group, and if you have like a thunderstorm that happens in one of these games, what happens?
I I'm still baffled at the amount of teams that chose like Kansas City as their hub, just for the humidity
yeah,
alone. It's crazy to me. Like when I stop and think about Saudi Arabia choosing Austin, I'm like, that's kind of genius because you've got a pretty similar climate. It's hot, but it's dry, so there's not a ton of adjustment for them.
when you've got all the performance center stuff here, you'll be the only
Yeah.
team here, I think.
There's not been another team that's been announced here.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things Jaden Nelson talked about was how much nicer our facilities were than Vancouver's, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing to drop.
Vancouver.
And so I'm kind of surprised that we're
Stadium.
not having more than one team. Like I was kind of expecting us to have at least two. And Kansas City getting so many, like it makes sense in some sense because like it is so central to the country and you have KCI there, but like of all the
Uh,
places that
so
doesn't seem like the best.
So Scott, now you can't have it has to be facility per team because you take it over all the security that
Okay.
needs to be put in. You can't share facility. So like even in
Uh,
Kansas City, so like I forget, one of the groups is using Sporting KC's facility, one group is using the KC Current facility, one group is using University of Kansas grounds, one is using some like super nice high school, I think.
Well, so they did say when they announced it, and I don't know how accurate this is, but they said Saudi's going to be using Q2 Stadium. They specifically did not call out St. David's.
That's true. That is a good point.
So I wonder if like we're still gonna train at St. David's, but Saudi will be at Q2.
Probably, and we'll probably play like warm-up games against them.
I would imagine there could be a friendly or something there. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin FC against Saudi Arabia. Included in your season tickets, or do you get like a gift card to like visit Neom when it's done?
No, you
No,
got
we have to go on.
Jersey.
You have to go on top of the building and try to the apartments next to the Q2 to try to watch that one.
Yeah. All right, we're running out of time, so I want to wrap up on a Minnesota game. Score prediction. I'm going to go 1-0 Minnesota on a late loss. Seth, how about you?
I'm gonna go with a 0-0 boring fest with like 4 shots on goal between both teams.
Ooh, 4. Okay. Brad?
No goal scorer for the game right now is plus 1100. I'm going right there.
All right. Scott?
I'm going to be optimistic and say 1-1, but I think this is going to be a really ugly game. It's not a game you're going to want to watch. It's not a game that you are going to want to show non-soccer fans to try to convince them to watch soccer.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement there. All right. Well, that's as good a place as any to leave it. So on behalf of Scott, Brad, and Seth, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Promise here for Austin Jarrett Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again! That's impossible!
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.